So good afternoon. We are here with Jill Ellis. She's the Chief Officer of Football for FIFA, and she's now in Argentina. She arrived yesterday, and first time in Argentina. What do you know about women football here in Argentina? Welcome to Argentina, please.
Well, thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here. Obviously, Argentina has such a tremendous history in football. Having coached against Argentina, obviously, I know the tradition and the passion that exists here for football. Listen, I know they've got the women's team is progressing. The futsal team is doing exceptionally well on the international stage, and obviously the clubs with the two leagues organized here. I think the most important thing here is that people are playing, it's organized, and there's a lot of potential for growth.
Okay, and now we have here the cup of the Federal Cup. Do you think this tournament is important for the growth of players and the development of women football in our country?
Absolutely. I think, listen, anytime you can put together a competition and you create something that's organized, it's incentive for people to want to structure, build teams, and have something to play for. I think back to the days when I was a player and when I was coaching, you want to play meaningful games. And so to have championships created and competitions created, it just incentivizes. And I think then it just sends a big message to people like, hey, let's invest in the youth and grow the game so that we can continue to grow these competitions as we're doing.
Okay, and based on your experience, you have a lot of experience, of course, as a former coach, winning 2 World Cups. What are the keys for the development of women football in a country like ours?
Well, listen, I think you've got obviously a fairly large population. I think the great thing about Argentina, it has a history of football. There's a culture of football here. So regardless of whether it's male or female, the fact that players, little girls and boys, are watching football from the time they're small, they fall in love with the game. So I think that's really important to develop a culture of football for women. You want to fall in love with the game. And then it's really about identifying and creating opportunities for young children to have a chance to play. You don't just fall in love with watching the game, you fall in love with playing it. So can we get girls and boys, young girls playing at the ages of 7, 8, 9, 10 and start to build, infrastructures where they can compete. And I think at the end of the day, what's important, talent needs to play against talent. I think, and so can you create leagues and competitions where the best can come together and play? And also I just think for health and recreation purposes, I think it's just an exceptional sport to be inclusive of everyone.
Of course, and you mentioned young players. What advice would you give young players that are taking their first steps now in our country?
Well, I always say to coaches when they're starting out with young players, you want to create an environment that makes the players want to come back. So it doesn't mean it doesn't have to be challenging, but it needs to be an environment that's supportive, that's encouraging, that fuels their passion. Because if players love going and playing, then they're going to want to stay with it. So I think, for young players, find good people to play with and against. Find yourself an environment that's going to challenge you. But ultimately, fall in love with this game. And it's not just about doing stuff when you're at practice. It's when you're home. It's against the wall. It's with your family, your brother, your sister. It's playing so much that you get, you get better. Not even when you're just in training with your teams.
Okay, so passion, football, and a lot of competitions.
Yes, I think opportunity. I think at the end of the day, as someone who's just knows that sport has been such a gift, football has been a gift in my life, that now taking this role was an opportunity to try and promote and give access to the game so more people can enjoy it. Because people that are in the game of football know how amazing it is. So let's try and create more opportunities for more little girls, young women to come into this sport and play. And it starts by people believing and investing in the women's game and creating opportunities. We've seen World Cups, championships, the sport is accelerating, and I think Argentina can be a premier team in the world because of the culture that we have here in this country.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Words of a lot of experience. Jill Ellis here with us in the final cup of Federal Cup. Thank you.